Hi everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Let's Hook In podcast. Today I've got Paul Codd. Paul is an expat Pommy living in Australia. I met Paul at a work site and I found him a fascinating guy. He's got some good stories and we had a chat when we were having a lunch break one day, and I said to him, I was only joking, I said, this chat should be on a podcast, because we were just talking shit like you wouldn't believe. And so I said, why don't you come over and we'll do it on camera? And he's gone, yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to pass you over to Paul. Paul's going to give you a little bit of an introduction about himself, where he comes from, and what he does, and all that sort of stuff. And just feel free to speak freely, mate. No dramas at all.
So, yeah. My name is Paul Codd. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I was born in Hull in England. Moved over to Australia in 1983. So this year it's 40 years in Australia.
So you moved over when you were 1. You like that?
Very, very close, very close. So if you add an extra 14 years, then that would be about right. So I was 15 when I come here, and it was a big move at the time, and I've been here ever since. I've got a wife, I've got kids. They've got their own kids.
Yeah, right. How old are your kids, if you don't mind?
My daughter's 33, my son's 31.
Okay, yeah, I've got a 30-year-old, a 28-year-old, and my daughter's 25, nearly 26, and you're not going to believe this, but she's actually getting induced in hospital right now to have our first grandchild.
And we're here because...
Here?
Yeah, I mean...
No, she's not going to have the baby straight away.
Oh, okay.
And if she does, don't worry, the wife will bash that roller door down, and this will all be over, and we'll be on our way out.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's good. You got 2 kids?
I've got 2 kids.
Grandkids?
Yes.
You got?
Yeah, I've got. They both have 3 each.
Okay.
Yeah, they both have 3 each.
Now I don't. You know, I'm not being derogatory when I say this, but being a Pommy, I thought, okay,
yes,
we're going to change it up a bit. We've got a cup of tea here, English breakfast tea.
English breakfast tea. This is how I like my tea, dark, strong. I'm from up north, so we call it a cup of tea. We don't call it that silly stuff that they call it.
The rosy.
People down south who are very posh, shall we say. I'm from up north, and we're as common as muck, and I'm happy to be that.
Yeah, right. Now I've also got you some.
Yes, I noticed that
from Birmingham.
Birmingham. Yeah, Birmingham's just up the road from us, probably about 2 hours across the way. Yeah.
Right. So I've gone all out. Let's just put it that way. I've got the most successful rugby league team in the world, the Roosters, on the wall there. You were 15 when you come over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is probably a silly question, but I'm only asking to prompt some answers.
Yeah, go ahead.
15. You're at the age where you've been and done a little. You know a lot about life, and do you remember everything about England?
Yeah, I do.
As a kid, you don't. No memories are faded. It's sort of thing. It's all vivid.
There is certain things that when I go right back, I don't know the answers to, or I can't recall everything. But so I was 15 when I come here, and when I went back for the first time in 2009. A quick story: when I went back to England for the first time in 2009, I went there for a specific reason. Sorry.
You're right.
This happens to me quite a lot.
That's okay.
I get stuck and I get lost. So when I went back, we was driving into Hull. We was driving on the M62. And we had because it's been so long since I've been there, and I've got my wife in the car, I've got my son in the car, we're driving to Hull, and as I hit my town, I said to my wife, you can turn the nav man off now. And my wife goes, what do you mean? Because my wife has only ever known me in Australia. I said, you can tell. And Hull, to give you an idea, it's a massive, massive town. It's probably as big as Sydney.
Okay, gee,
That's how big it is. It's really, it's like, oh, it feels like it is as big as Sydney anyway. It is that big. But as soon as I hit the outskirts, I no longer needed the navman. My wife couldn't work that out because, like, you were only 15 when you come here, so you wasn't driving. But as a kid, I used to ride my bike everywhere.
Push bike?
Yeah. Sorry, yes.
What do you call them over there? Push bike?
Yeah.
We call them.
Yeah, but I just called them a bike.
Yeah, back when I was about that age, riding around, we had a BMX. It was a BMX.
Okay, yeah.
Bicycle motocross.
Australian thing.
Yeah. Mine had Tufts. Tufts were like
Tufts.
plastic wheels.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, they didn't last very long, but they got rid of the steel spokes and they had these plastic Tufts. I wish I'd had a computer.
I used to love
to
to ride my bike.
Yeah, bikes are good. Okay, so you're back there.
Yeah, and I literally could drive around my hometown, and I knew exactly where I was through the whole place. And my wife was like, "How can you know this?" Like, and I don't know. I wasn't expecting it myself. It just come back to me, and I knew exactly where I was. I knew, it's changed a little bit, but I just knew where to go.
Oh, yeah.
And I visited. I took her straight away. I took her to 3 houses that I used to live at. Yep. Straight away, I just drove straight there.
This is 33 years later. Is that right? From 83 to 2009.
Yeah.
Wow, and it hasn't. That's amazing. Like I'm from a little town in Western New South Wales. It doesn't change. This is a silly thing to compare it with, but even driving through there now, when I go back there, there's minor changes. But to a big city the size of Sydney, that's amazing that you must have got out and about as a kid on that bike.
I used to, but I was born in 1968, and back in those days, your parents wasn't worried about you. They would let you outside. I could stay out till, it might not seem late now, but 8 o'clock time. And I would only be like 9, 10, 11, 12 years of age. There was no problem. I'd be outside,
Yeah. Over here we had the rule of when the street lights come on.
Yeah.
When the street lights come on, it's time to go home.
Well, I guess that's sort of it wasn't quite the same for us. Generally, what would happen is at that time of day, because I would always be close by, unless I wanted to go for a long ride, I would tell my mum. But otherwise, she would just come out, make sure that we're still around, and then it was fine again.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
83.
Yeah.
You are, how old were you then?
I was 15.
Why the move? What happened?
I didn't have a choice, really. So my dad's brother had already moved to Australia. My dad's sister had made the move to Australia, and then my dad said to his mum and dad, "We're considering moving to Australia, but we won't go if you guys are not coming." And so my dad's mum and dad, they just all agreed, and we ended up all being here. So I came here with my younger sister and my very younger brother.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a choice, but I don't know. At the time, I didn't think of it as I was going to be living here. I don't know. I just felt like I got to see Australia, and I was looking at it in books, and I could see where it was. It's the other side of the world. And
how long did it take you to get over here back in those days?
We flew on a plane.
Still the same?
We flew a plane. I don't know how many
24 hours or so?
24, 26 hours, whatever it would be. I remember when we got to Sydney, we landed, and I thought it was amazing just looking out. And I remember the doors opening and the massive heat that just hit me in the face as soon as I got to the doors. It was back in the days when you walk down the gangplank straight onto the tarmac.
Yep.
Straight onto the tarmac, so you could feel the heat off the ground, And the first thing I was doing when I got out, because we got picked up by my auntie and uncle, I'm looking out everywhere, and they were asking me, "What are you looking for, Paul?" I'm thinking, duh, I'm looking for the kangaroos and the koalas. And they started laughing. It's like, well, we'll take you somewhere else. We will eventually see them, but you won't see them. I'm thinking, this is Australia, of course you see them. But anyway.
Very good. So you come to Sydney, off the plane into the roaring heat, because it would have been exactly opposite over in England.
Yeah, it's cold, wet, but I'll be honest with you, I love that anyway.
Yeah.
I like it being cold.
Yep.
I don't know. I've got this inbuilt heat in me, and that I seem to even when I'm cold, I'm not cold. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. Well, I'm not on the same page. I moved from Lithgow in New South Wales, which is
cold.
I know what that is. Yeah, just up the road from where you were. And we moved to get away from the cold because it was just too cold in winter. I know it's only short periods, like maybe you might have 5 or 6, maybe 10 freezing cold days a year.
Okay.
But it was enough for us. We don't get those freezing cold days anymore. Now we're actually fine. We've been up here for 8 years, and I find that now in winter we're starting to feel a little bit of cold now. We haven't felt it because it's not cold up here compared to down there.
No.
So when I say just down the road from you moved to Penrith. Did you move straight to Penrith?
Yes, we did. That's we went there. We went there only because my uncle originally went there, and then my auntie went there as well. So, if they're there, we're just going to follow, and so that's where we ended up. I always say to my dad, why couldn't we have gone somewhere else? Right? You know, because you ended up buying a house and building a house. If you'd have built it more towards Sydney, you probably would have made a lot more money, Dad. You know, because the houses were a lot cheaper in Western Sydney.
Yeah,
I guess.
that's for sure.
But
so prior to coming over, sport? Did you? What sports were you into? Did you play and?
I played rugby league for a very small amount of time. I played
Hull FC.
Hull FC. No,
Hull City.
Hull for me. So.
Yeah. But if you follow, I imagine if you follow Hull Football Club,
City,
you follow Hull Rugby League team as well.
Hull KR. There's Hull KR and there's Hull FC. There's black and white and red and white.
Yep.
And red and white through and through because I was born in East Hull. So there's East Hull and there's West Hull.
Wow, that's how big it is.
And when Hull KR and Hull FC are playing on game day, even if your brothers, sisters, if you go for opposite teams, you don't talk to each other until the game's over.
Wow.
You can slip. There'll be a lot of, you know.
Yep.
I mean, being a Rovers fan, which is Hull KR.
Yep.
Generally, we wouldn't even walk on a zebra crossing because it's black and white.
Wow.
It's ingrained. We hate.
That's
literally,
rugby league.
It's a hatred.
I can imagine it'd be 10 times worse football.
It can be, yeah, but it can be, but especially in Hull because we got the two teams of rugby league.
You still follow the Poppy League?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So as a kid, I was a soccer player and I followed Liverpool.
Yeah. So do I.
And I tried to deviate away. I'm not proud of this, but I tried to go for Tottenham when Tottenham were good, but it just didn't work. I don't know. Because they were
it's
pretty
hard
good.
to change,
yeah,
isn't
you can't.
I'm a pick and stick guy.
Yeah.
People say, but you followed Hull KR, but now you support the Penrith Panthers. Well, no. I'll tell you now, if Hull KR are playing Penrith, Hull KR was my first born team. Now I'll be going for them, even though I love Penrith.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, you know.
And this is probably a silly question, but at the moment, who would win that game? Penrith.
Well, Rovers are going well at the moment. I think with any game, it's on the day. But yeah, you're right.
They're pretty red hot.
Penrith are just. I love watching them play. I love my team. I don't like to lose, but you know what? I'm not a sore loser. I'm not a sore loser.
I used to be. I used to be a social media. What do you call it? Troll, I guess. Like my team would win a game against one of my mates' teams, and I'd just get on Facebook and really be savagely against that team, and all in good fun.
Yeah.
But once you lose a couple of, like we won a premiership there one year and got the wooden spoon the next year, the Roosters, and once that happens, you can't really be that cocky after that. So I've learned to tame myself down again, and I'm a better loser too, as you say. You're not a bad loser. I used to be, but not so much anymore. I'm getting older.
I think but I think for like when I came to Australia, Penrith. Besides 1991, I've been pretty much not being one of the big clubs. You know that generally everyone expected Penrith to be outside the top 8 or the top 5 back then. You know, so nobody really worried about Penrith.
No.
It's only now that everybody seems. Generally, it's always the way you tend to always hate the teams that are going well.
I can tell you, my boy Luke, both my boys played.
He's a lovely fella.
Yeah, he's a good kid. They both played rugby league on the Central Coast as kids. I'm talking 10 to about 14 years of age.
Yeah.
And Luke played for the Wyong Roos, and they graded the sides up there. Where we come from, Lithgow, you don't even have enough kids to form a team, let alone grade the sides. But Wyong, I think it was like the second biggest rugby league territory. The Central Coast was the second biggest league territory in Australia, I think.
Okay.
So they graded the sides anyway. Luke made the first grade side in the under 10s, I think it was. And there was another side called Kincumber on the Central Coast as well. They were a pretty good side as well. It was non-competitive. You'd play each other for points, for the game points, but there was no competition, so to speak. Because Kincumber and Wyong were the two good sides. We went to a carnival. We ended up winning the unofficial title of the Central Coast best side. Went down to a carnival somewhere in Sydney, I can't remember where it was, and played against a few sides. We're the best side on the Central Coast. We had a bloke by the name of Willis Meehan, who's a heavyweight boxer, and he played for the Roosters. He went on to become a really good rugby league player. Could have been better. But we had players like that, and went to this carnival in Sydney, and they got smashed by St Mary's or Mount Druitt, one of those sides.
Yep.
And that's where I learnt that Penrith had the biggest rugby league district in the world or in Australia or whatever it was.
Yep.
And the kids were they graded their sides as well, but they were a step above everyone. And
a lot of those kids in those areas, there's a lot of Tongans, Kiwis in general.
Polynesians.
Polynesians. And no offence to them, of course, but a lot of them are very big.
Yeah.
Very hard to stop.
At that age, yeah.
At that age, yeah.
We eventually, the Caucasians, I guess you could call it, we eventually catch up, as age goes on, whether it's in size or ticker. But yeah, so that, it doesn't surprise me that here we are, it's nearly 30 years, nearly 20 years later, that Penrith are so strong. Because, going back that carnival when Luke was 10, and they were so dominant, and that was their best side from that area. That wasn't all of them.
Okay.
Wow, I can see why they're so dominant.
Yeah.
And they put in that academy at Penrith.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, God. So Penrith.
Amazing.
I didn't go to Penrith very much. I used to go to Westfield and to Rebel because we never had a sports shop at Lithgow. So
you didn't.
It'd be an annual trip. We get on the train.
An annual trip.
Yeah, or say annual, maybe twice a year, I'm not sure, because I was a cricketer and a soccer player.
Okay.
So we get on the train and we go to Westfield and we go to Rebel, which wasn't in Westfield, but it wasn't far away.
Okay.
That was my experience with Penrith. Okay. And aqua golf sometimes.
Okay.
At the Panthers, at the resort there, yeah. So that's pretty good. So hot, dry Penrith. Is that how you know?
Yeah,
Penrith?
it can be very hot. It can be very dry.
Polar opposite to where you come from.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but all you need to do is make sure you've got a car with air conditioning.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you've got a house with air conditioning. You've got a pool or something like that.
Yeah.
It's all okay.
My memories of that whole area from Penrith right across to Richmond is just a sweat box. Humidity's horrible, and it's the heat.
To be honest, I don't have nothing bad to say about the area.
Yeah.
I've still, my brother still lives there. My sister still lives there. My mum and dad still live there now.
Yep.
I have some regrets of moving away, but we made a choice to come here. So
It's not bad up here.
I love Queensland.
State of origin. You follow the Blues?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
I pick and stick. I don't go swapping and changing.
It's the worst part of living in Queensland. State of origin.
Not at all. I love stirring you up, and
generally, I'm a Blue.
Generally,
are you? That's what I mean. The worst part being a Blue.
Of course you are.
Yeah. The worst part is state of origin, especially in the last since I've been up here 8 years. We've only won 2 or 3 series.
Look, they have. I don't know what it is. Well, I think we do know. They've just got something in them that says they just don't want to lose.
Yeah,
and when it comes to that state of origin for them, there's a lot of passion in the shirt. And it's not that the Blues don't have that passion, but I don't know. There's just something there.
I think it says a lot for the pick and stick thing. They pick and they stick.
Well, you would say that, but this year they didn't really pick and stick, did they? Because they changed.
Yeah, true.
They justified it. Do you know how they justified it? They won.
Won the series, yeah. So can we take you? We've gone back to your younger life.
Okay.
You're working. You're a tradie.
Originally, yeah, I was a trader. I didn't want to be, but that's the way it was. I finished school and I became a panel beater.
Panel beater, that's right.
Panel beater. Yeah, it's not something I wanted to do, but unfortunately, circumstances said to me, I was quite a smart kid. I'm not just saying that. I always felt I was. You know, I always had good grades at school. But circumstances says, well, you can't really talk, so which leads to something else. But I can't really talk, so if I can't use this, then I need to use something else. I need to use my hands. I needed to get a job. So my uncle, which is my auntie's husband, he was a panel beater, and he says, I might be able to get you a job, and lo and behold, I got myself a job. And
trade's a trade, they used to say.
I enjoyed being a panel beater. I enjoyed it at one stage so much that I opened up my own shop. So, but you know, owning your own business is not always easy. No. So,
more this here, I really enjoy doing this. It's not a job, but I love doing this.
I can see how.
Yeah, it's really good. So you've can we go back a little bit?
Yeah.
You said something about owning a business and not being able to talk. Can we talk about that at all?
Yeah, of course.
What I think I know what you mean, but for the viewers out there, what do you mean by can't talk?
Yeah, it's very quickly. You can very much tell that I've got a speech impediment, and sometimes it's worse. Sometimes it's not as bad. It all depends on the day. Today, coming in here today, I felt I wasn't sure what the day would bring. I think, to be quite honest, like I said to you, the earphones actually will help because they tend to muzzle out or to echo things, and when that tends to happen, I speak a little bit easier and a bit freer. There's a speech. For the most part, I control most of my speech, but so I became a panel beater because back then. When I left school, I don't know, was that 1985? So, you know, whatever age I was, I couldn't really talk. I literally couldn't talk.
Okay.
I'm one of those people that I'm sure some people have seen on the TVs and wherever where they got the facial contortions and couldn't speak, and that was me. And so something happened when I was younger. I put two and two together and what people have told me, and it seems to fit the time frame. And so I couldn't talk, and so I became a panel beater because as much as I had aspirations of doing different things. I pretty much let them go and just wanted, once I became a panel beater, it wasn't long before I met my wife-to-be and we had kids. And,
Well, look, to be honest, from a younger age, you say, and I remember you talking when we had that meal break that time. You were saying that you couldn't talk. And you got to, I think you said you were 32 years of age, and you taught yourself how to speak. Now that sounded amazing to me. Can you just touch on that? What do you mean by that, and how did you do that?
Sorry, I get a bit emotional when I think, but
stop if you like. Or you don't have to talk about this at all.
No, it's fine. I think that it's, to me, it's not. I'm not worried about. I'm never worried about how. It doesn't worry me. It doesn't worry me in the sense. I get days where I just, I wish just for one day I could have one day where I didn't stutter at all. I just would love one day, but that never eventuates. I have good days, but I never have one full day. But I think the worst thing is when the one thing I'm worried about is if I have kids that I would pass it on, and stuttering actually runs in my family, and it only with the guys, only with the men. My grandfather's brother had a speech. I'm not sure if my grandfather's father had it as well, but for some reason I think that might have been the case. But my grandfather's brother had it. My grandfather had it. It skipped my dad. It came to me. And the worst thing in the world is I passed it on to my son.
Okay.
And he was, my son was, but my son was only about 3 when we noticed, 2.5, 3. And so I would die 1,000 deaths every day when I see him, because I feel that's my fault. And so at the age of 9, I felt this was the opportunity for him, which I was 32, thereabouts. And me and my wife seen something on the TV called Stuttering Innovations for kids. And I thought, you know what, I can't do anything for me. So I'm going to take my son. I'm going to try and help him, you know. So, and I had to pay for it. I don't know. I think back then it was about 2.5 grand, you know, and you're bringing up your kids, you know, you're trying to pay off a mortgage or what you know. So it wasn't easy to get 2.5 grand. And they said that after there was 3 days, I think, it was. And after the first day, if you didn't want to continue, they'll give you all your cash back. And I've seen a couple of people pull out after the first day, but I took my son. But like I said, I was committed to my son. It wasn't about me. So I thought, no matter what, I'm going to stick this out. 2.5 grand, yes, it's a bit of money, but I want to try and help him. So I took him, and they come up to him, they're asking questions, and there was a show done on the group actually by the ABC, and he was one of the ones that got interviewed in it, you know, and they sort of watched him a little bit, but my son didn't necessarily do great out of it, to be honest. But what happened was I was 32, and so what happened? They took him away. But it sounds bad, but they took him into another room, because they said, we'll just get all the parents. So you can imagine there's about 15, 20 parents, because there's quite a few of us that brought our kids along. And they said, we'll just get all you parents into the room, and we'll just speak to you and just let you know what sort of things we're going to be doing with the kids, get us to know. And when I walked into the room, all these chairs were in a big circle. And but that's a bit weird, but I sat down on one of these chairs because everybody else was sitting on one of these chairs, and of course the worst thing in the world happened. The guy asked everyone to he said, we'll just go around the room and you can tell me a little bit about yourselves and mainly your child.
Bearing in mind we're here for the son.
I'm here for my son.
And they're all there for their sons and daughters.
And you know, and literally where he started one was from like two up from me, but he went the opposite way around. So I've got to watch virtually every single person stand up and speak and say something. So by the time it gets to me, I've already died 1,000 deaths. I literally, because I know I can hardly talk.
Okay.
So then I struggle, and because Stuttering Innovations is run by people who have had speech impediments. Okay. So they run the course. It's their business.
Yep.
They believe that, you know, if you take your car, if you want your car fixed, if you want your engine fixed, you don't take it to a panel beater, you take it to a mechanic. Well, the same thing. If you want your speech to improve, you take it to someone who's gone through it.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
So that's what he was. So once he realised that I couldn't talk, he said, "Well, out of everybody here, you're going to get the biggest benefit, aren't you? So you're getting like 2 for the price of 1." Everyone started laughing, and it sort of took the edge off. And but literally, that's exactly what happened, because I was watching what they would. I went for the whole 3 days with my son, and he was only 9, so it's hard. He did improve a little bit. But the techniques are something that you got to take on a daily basis. But I watched, and I couldn't not because the opportunity was there for me to talk instead of not talking, and I wanted to talk.
Yeah. So, forgive my ignorance here, Paul, but this guy, when he got to you and he said, "Well, you're going to benefit more than most people out of this."
Yep.
He's the guy running the show. Is he a guy that may have had a speech impediment himself?
Yeah. They're all everyone who ran it.
And
all of them had a speech impediment, and yeah, he's talking, but you can tell by the way they talk that they wasn't talking. They don't talk. They don't necessarily. It was a more breathy. It's a more breathy type of talk, and there's degrees of speech impediments. You know, some people can have a bad speech impediment, but talk a different way. I can't explain it, but everyone's good. They have their own. He was. So he just went around the room and he was speaking. You know, we knew that he had it before because they introduced it and they say that straight away. We know that before we even go there. That everyone who works there has been through, has had or has a speech impediment still.
Cool. So, am I reading this wrong, Paul? But he was being rude to you. Is that what he was doing?
No, the opposite.
Oh, okay.
The total opposite.
Sorry, I took that the wrong way then.
Yeah, well, no, he was trying to. What he was doing was he was trying to make me feel better.
Okay.
He says, "Oh, well, you're gonna get," you know, it's like this was like because like when we can't talk, it's like a lot of people talk for you anyway. That's just like if I can't finish a sentence, people naturally do it, not because they want to be rude to you or they just
try to help.
They just try to help. They are trying to be helpful.
And
If
that wasn't an example of me just saying that. And how do you feel when that happens? Is that okay for people when that happens, or do you feel like, shut up, I want to finish this? Or
for most people, I just let them do it. But when people mean something to me, generally like there was a person the other day, I won't mention the person's name, but this person actually means a little bit to me, and so I actually pulled this person up. I said, "You don't have." Oh, no, he didn't. No, that's not what he did. Sorry, it was slightly different. So what happened was, I was struggling, and he actually, it was a he turned away from me because he thought if I turn away from him and I can't see him, that will make it easier for him.
Okay.
And he did that on 2 separate occasions. So I worked out very quickly that's what he was doing.
Yep.
And so I said to him, just so you know, you don't have to turn away. I know you did it. And at first he was like, no. And then he said, yeah, actually I did.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, you know, because when people mean something to me, I make more of an effort to say, you don't have to do that.
Yep.
Don't worry, you know, like, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate you wanting to make me feel better.
Yep.
Trying to help me, but...
Can you tell me the quote that you mentioned in that meal room that day that your wife said to you about for a guy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is amazing.
Because my wife is an amazing woman because she knew me when I couldn't talk.
Yep.
She was the woman that when I went through a drive-through, when we was dating, she knew that I couldn't talk. We went drive-through to McDonald's.
Yep.
She would be the one who would say, okay, let's swap seats. You jump out the driver's seat, you sit in the passenger seat, I'll order the food, and as soon as you've done that, we swap seats again. So this is the type of woman, she never worried about my speech. So I just want to give you that picture of, she's a special woman. Yeah. But my wife always says to me, you know, she says, and it's true, I think I gained a voice. She always says, for a guy with a speech impediment, you sure can talk a lot. And literally that is me. I do talk a lot, but if you knew my family, if you knew my mum and dad, we all talk over each other. My mum and dad will be talking to me and they'll both be talking about separate conversations. You know, one's talking about football, the other one's talking about what happened yesterday, and they're both talking to me. I'm like, yeah, okay, yep. It's like, so we've always been talkers. So
yeah, right.
I'm a talker.
Now, can I touch on growing up with the speech impediment?
Yep.
And I don't want to focus too much on it, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to bring it to light.
No.
But were you bullied or anything like that? And I'm not saying I was a bully, but...
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean, sorry, no, again, that's the second time. It comes in threes. So when I was a kid, I was bullied a lot because I couldn't hardly talk. And when I could talk, it didn't come out good. My face didn't look good. You know, the teacher would still want to make me participate. Would still want me to read a paragraph, which I'd be lucky. Like I would have like one line to read, and that could take me forever to read it. So, but you know, so I was always bullied at school. That was probably that. So at the time, I always felt like the worst stage of my life. But I have witnessed. I've witnessed similar things as I've gone through my life, my career. Where I currently am, it has been, not at the moment, but it has been just as bad as when I was at school, which has been at times has been pretty tough. But you know, this happens. You know, people sometimes they just can't handle it. They can't stand looking at me, or people make a lot of judgments before they even get to know me. You know what? How's he going to be able to do this? How's he going to be able to do that? Well, I still can.
I think I met you quite early on in the piece when you come to our workplace. I think it was down Industries.
Okay.
You probably don't remember this, but we had a conversation, found out that you're a tradesman, and probably tried to talk to you into becoming a tradie.
A tradie, yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I did pick up on the speech impediment.
Everyone does.
Yeah, but once you get to know you, like I've only probably had 2 or 3 conversations with you, basically. The last one being the one in the mill room that day, which was bloody awesome. It was funny, it was open, it was honest. But yeah, you're right. Once people get to know you for who you are, but a lot of people make judgments on people based on looks or sound, and they don't give you the benefit of getting to know you, basically. Yeah, it's sad. It's judgmental. It's horrible.
Yeah, and but I try not to. Everything about me is I like to. I'm a giver. That sounds bad, but I like to make people feel good. And so no matter how people treat me, I have a choice. Do I have to treat them like that? Do I choose to treat them back the same way, or do I say no? I'm not going to do that. That's a reflection on them, not of me. Yeah. So no matter, even when I've been treated poorly, I refuse to treat them poorly.
Yeah,
it's not always easy.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult, I can imagine.
It can be. Yeah.
If someone says something negative to me, I get my back up straight away, and I just don't want to fight them, but I definitely want to confront them. What do you say that for? You sort of think, why did you do that? Or
but I think and I think when you go through anything in your life that's significant, that lasts a period of time. For me, it's been my speech impediment. Sometimes that makes you think differently, like anybody with any type. Not that I think of this as a disability, but when people have disabilities, they tend to not that people don't care as much, but when you've gone through something, whatever that be, is your thought process might be slightly different, and you tend to, for want of better words, care that little bit more and want to make people feel the best they can be.
I understand exactly.
You know what I mean? So, but that's not me trying to put anybody down, because I think in essence everyone is good.
Yep.
You can find good in anybody, even some people who have been not so good to me.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's move on a little bit from your personal life. Let's get on to sport. You're a Panther.
I am. Full-on Panthers. I said to myself that I should wear the Panthers shirt today. I had a funny feeling you would wear a Roosters one, and lo and behold, I was right.
I didn't even know.
Oh, you didn't even notice? You didn't notice when you came in, and then you went up in there, and then you come back and put it on. And I said to you, you're wearing your Roosters shirt. I knew you would.
In my defence, Paul, you were early, remember?
Yeah, 20 minutes. But I don't like to be late.
No, I understand.
I've been in my whole career. I don't like to be late for anything.
So Penrith's got the week off.
Yeah, I know, right?
The Chooks got to play Melbourne tomorrow night in Melbourne with half a side. I don't know how.
And that's good. Go. This is what you want, though. You want everyone saying they've got no chance.
They are. Yeah, they've been saying that since about round 15, I reckon. Probably.
They wasn't making the 8. Let's be honest. Yeah. Everyone said they weren't making the 8, and your coach, Trent Robinson, said said we'll just continue doing what we do, and we'll give ourselves every chance to make the 8. Well, guess what? Penrith won that last game. You're in.
Yeah.
Good on yous.
Let's jump up.
Yeah, I watch every game. I watch every game. Doesn't matter. Even the poorer sides. Unless I'm at work and somewhere I hear the scoreline and go, oh, okay, then I don't have to watch the whole game right from the start to finish. I can just watch the short version or something. But otherwise, I watch.
What's in the future?
So I'm building a house. I bought acreage in Taree.
Oh, Tara, yeah.
Yeah, buying acreage in Taree and building a house there.
All right, mate. Well, if you're happy with that, I think we've.
I don't know if I'm happy with that, but
Once I edit it, I'll put a Roosters jersey on you, and I'll do a bit of editing.
Once you put the Panthers jersey on me, is that what you said?
The Panthers one, yeah. Well, thanks, Paul, for coming.
My pleasure. I'm not the most knowledgeable guy, but
mate, look at me. You're 10 times more knowledgeable than the host.
All
right, mate. Well, thank you very much for coming.